This is a Ukrainian pilot flying an Su-25 low and fast to avoid Russian air defences. Ukraine has some very skilled pilots, but very few aircraft, maybe less than 50 fighter jets. Kyiv has asked repeatedly for fourth generation Western aircraft, but so far nothing's arrived. However, there's been hints recently from the US military that could change. So what might they get? Well, the prime candidate is this, the F-16. They've been in service since the late 1970s, and there's thousands of the older variants in service around the world. It's a very competent multi-role fighter, it's very agile and can be armed with a combination of guided bombs and missiles, but it does have its limitations.
There are thousands of F-16s in the world, more than 3,000 built, quite a few of which are surplus at the moment. So, in that sense, F-16 is probably the most likely. It's certainly what the Ukrainians are pushing for. On the other hand, it's designed for operations from established bases with significant equipment requirements. It's designed for operations from prepared, quite long runways. It doesn't have a short landing capability. The landing gear is not designed for rough surfaces. It's relatively lightweight. And so in some ways, it's not ideal for what the Ukrainians are currently doing. In terms of a medium to long-term solution for the Ukrainian Air Force, then yeah, F-16 makes perfect sense.
So what's Ukraine likely to use these jets for? Well, Russia has formidable air defence systems like the S-300, so ground attack missions are likely to be limited. They could be used to shoot down Russian cruise missiles. Ukrainian pilots are already doing this, and also target Russian jets and helicopters using long-range air-to-air missiles, pushing them back from Ukrainian territory. Now, along with the F-16, there's another option being talked about, the Swedish Gripen. The older C and D models have been around since the mid-1990s. It's a very robust jet, designed for just this sort of conflict. It's also pretty simple to work on. The engine can be changed in an hour, and Saab say it can be refueled, rearmed, and sent back into combat in just 10 minutes.
From an operational standpoint, Gripen CD is the obvious choice. It's got Meteor compatibility, it's designed for dispersed highway operations, it's also designed to be serviced on those highways by conscripts with standard tools, hammers and wrenches and things, with only a couple of highly trained personnel, and the majority being conscripts. It's designed to be easy to access in terms of all the panel releases and check all the systems, and to be done literally on highways from a couple of trucks. In that sense, the Swedish concept of operations for which Gripen was designed, as a neutral country that wanted to defend itself against a potential Russian attack, using dispersed low-level operations with a long-range air-to-air missile, it is kind of ideal. It's exactly what the Ukrainian Air Force is doing.
So which is the most likely? Well, in terms of supply, F-16 win hands down. There's a lot of them about, and politically, it's easier than Sweden, which is Russia's Baltic neighbour, sending the Gripen. But that does raise a question. How will Ukraine maintain these F-16s? And where? Could the US face sending American contractors, for instance, into Ukraine? The other option, of course, is that Ukraine gets more of what it knows, more Russian jets. Poland offered to send MiG-29s in return for some F-16s, but Washington scuppered that deal, instead sending some MiGs and parts that it bought itself from Moldova. What Kyiv really wants, though, are Western jets. Fighters like the Typhoon and French Rafale are just too complex, 4th Gen plus, so most experts say these two are the front runners. So for Ukraine, it's now a waiting game to see if these recent hints become reality. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.